Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to the W. As you can see behind me, we have a gardener's nightmare, and I purposely done this. Y'all hang out with me for a second. I'm gonna let you know why. So, I know everybody's asking the question, why in the world would you let your garden grow this tall with weeds and everything? Well, that's because this year has been horrible for my garden. Now, I wanted to get all these grasses to grow because I wanted to tell me a story about what is going on with my soil. Everything I've planted this year has either not came up, has came up and done poorly, or I planted it in the ground and it did not get very big at all. So this past year, we did plow this ground and turn it over. If y'all go back and watch the we did somewhere around 12 inches deep. We went down 12 inches, turned that soil over to try to get rid of some of that compaction. Well, we thought that might work a little bit. Then we done a soil sample. Well, my soil sample told me how much fertilizer I needed to put out, if I needed to put out lime or not. This side did not need lime. That side did need lime. We done all these things to try to get this soil better, and it didn't work. So now I think it's time to try to let nature tell us what it needs. Um, all these grasses, they grow because they mean something. Now, if you look out through here, we have different grasses growing right now. We have some nettle growing. Looks like we might have some peppermint growing. We have some grasses. I have no idea what they are. But the good thing is, North Carolina has ways to figure this out. So we let it grow. We let it get to maturity. This is right before everything seeds out. As you can see, this right here, get a little bit closer. As you can see, those seed pods haven't dropped yet. So this is the perfect time to kill this off and figure out what it is. All this stuff is mature. It's ready. Seed pods are not far from dropping. So we're going to go through here. I'm going to try to document different grasses, and I'm going to contact somebody with North Carolina to see if they can't tell me what kind of grasses I have. That way I can look up those grasses and figure out what is going on with my soil. Right now, I think I've got dirt. I don't think I have soil. Uh, Soil is classified as a living organism. Dirt is classified as a dead organism. I'm pretty sure I have a dead organism right now, or a dying organism. So I'm gonna go through here. I'm gonna take a bunch of pictures of different grasses that I have, and we're gonna try to identify them. And if I can't identify them, we're gonna try to get a hold of somebody who can. And if y'all know what they are, tell me. And that way we can try to get this soil back in good condition. All right, so the first of these grasses that we're going to look at is going to be this one right here. And this is a foxtail. You know it's foxtail because of that. There's three different kinds of foxtails. There's yellow, green, and giant. This one is the giant. How do we know? Because it's got those little hairs right here. All three of them are going to have that. Now, the difference between the yellow, green, and giant is this right here. Let's see. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it has little bitty hairs on it, and they're very cool. It's a lot of them. Now, a yellow is going to have kind of longer hairs on it. They're going to be like a 1/4 inch long or so. The green is going to have slick leaves on it. They won't have any hairs. And then the giant is going to have very coarse, very short hairs, or very dense. Can't really see it in the sun, but you can hear it. So that's the first grass right there, is those giant foxtails. And as you can see, I mean, they're everywhere through here. So that's the first grass we got to look at. And that's our first clue as to what's out here and what's wrong with the soil. All right, so our second clue is this nettle right here. Now I'm pretty sure this is horse nettle. Not 100% sure, but it is nettle. All right, that's going to give us another clue as to what's going on with this soil and what we need to do to fix it. And these aren't the only thing that's giving us clues. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to show you a few more plants that's going to tell us exactly what's happening. And y'all, here's a bunch of that nettle. Y'all see, it grows thick when nothing shades it out. And it just grows, man, it grows thick. Alright, this one right here is crabgrass. Again, this right here is telling us exactly what's going on with this soil. And there's actually two different grasses right here. There's crabgrass right here, and then there's, I don't know how to say this word, I think it's Dallas grass or Dillis grass or something. I'm not 100% sure, but it's right here. They kind of grow together and they look all very similar. And those two grasses are also in here. Now let's look at two more, and then we'll try to decipher what's going on. All right, here's another one right here. It's going to tell you a lot. That's dog's bane. And dog's bane is very toxic to dogs. So we want to get rid of this as quick as possible. And this run rampant in here before we plowed the ground. And now it's just in places. It's a lot less than what it was. But it still gives us a clue as to what's going on. So let's look at a few more. Alright, here's Johnson grass. Now this grass right here, it grows in bushes like this. But in my garden, there's only 3 mounds of this Johnson grass. The rest of it is a little bit of dog's bane, a lot of nettle, and a lot of foxtail. So there's a few more grasses in here that got choked out, and we'll talk about them in just a second. But that right there is Johnson grass, and we know it's Johnson grass because it grows so tall. I'm 6 foot, and this stuff is well over my head. That's 7 foot right there, and that one's almost 8. So that's how we know it's Johnson grass. That stuff grows tall. All right, so this one right here is one I was really looking for. This right here confirms my suspicions of what's wrong with this soil. And North Carolina's going to test this soil to make sure that I'm right. But that right there is a little grass. Hold on, let me get my notepad out. It's burdock. So that right there confirms my suspicions. Alright, so now you ask yourself, what does all these grasses have in common? And if you look them up, you'll see they grow in a wide variety of soils, a wide variety of pH levels, nitrogen levels, phosphate levels. You know, it's so broad that you can overlook it very easily as to what all of these grasses are telling you. One thing that they have in common is calcium. All of these grasses grow extremely well, with the exception of maybe the Johnson grass. And you see, we only have 3 little stands of Johnson grass, but they grow exceptionally well in soil that has low calcium. And I've had to do some research this morning, and the main ones is foxtail, curly burdock, and crabgrass. All right. So that right there tells us that this land is low with calcium. Now North Carolina's going to test that, and they're going to confirm it. I've been on the phone with them this morning. They're still got to get back to me on the test that they have to do and how long it's going to take. But I suspect it's going to take anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks to get back. As for the nettle and the dog's bane, and for matter of fact, the foxtail, the nettle tells you that this is very compacted soil. The dog's bane tells you this is very compacted. All right, the dog's bane can grow. Its I don't want to say taproot, but its root can grow about 6 to 8 foot down in the ground. Now, that's a lot. So that tells you that it's trying to break up soil. The nettle grows a lot in very compacted soil. So we have a soil compaction problem and we have a calcium problem. Now, calcium, you say, well, shouldn't have a whole lot to do with it. It does. The calcium plays a very vital role in nutrient uptake of your garden. If you don't have enough calcium, it doesn't allow your plants to uptake the vital nutrients it needs, especially phosphorus and potassium. So that right there tells me a whole lot about this field. And that's just looking at the grasses that have grown right here. And that's not even taking a soil sample. So it is very, very important for you to look at your grasses. And I didn't really realize this until recently, how important looking at your grasses is. Looking at what's growing in your garden. Yeah, it's very thick, it's very luscious. You would think, man, this right here is going to grow a heck of a garden. But then you try to grow one like I did, and it didn't work. So we're going to have to confirm all of my suspicions, but I'm fairly certain what it is. The main thing we're going to use North Carolina Ag Extension for is to see how much we need to put down of and what we need to put down to raise the calcium levels. So there it is. That's what our grasses have told us right here in this field. Now, I urge you to go out and look at your grasses. You don't have to do what I did right here. What I did was extreme. You know, I wanted to show you what is going on. I let all this stuff, and I'll probably pay for this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna pay for this. But this right here shows you what's going on, and it'll tell you how the health of your soil is. So that right there is why this stuff is grown up in a nutshell. And now we've got to put a plow on, put some discs on, we got to disc all this stuff in, maybe even cover it and try to get it all killed. So all right, so we've covered it. That right there is the grasses we have and the reasons why they're growing. I feel very confident that we're low in calcium. Another good indication is blossom end rot. We did have a lot of blossom end rot this year. And that's what made me suspect it, is when I started getting blossom end rot on all my tomatoes, uh, my uh, squash, my zucchini, all that started getting blossom end rot. I knew right then that we may have a calcium problem, and the size of my plants. My plants was not growing like they should have been. So we done this. I let this grow for a long time. About 6 weeks is what we let this grow for. Now we need to kill it, and I might do a video on killing it, but I've done a bunch of videos on working uh, equipment. So that's gonna do it for this video. We're gonna get a soil sample. We're gonna talk to North Carolina State, and we are gonna try to get this mitigated. That way, next year we'll be able to grow a very nice garden. So until next time, I hope you learned something today, because I learned a lot just from doing research. I hope this helps y'all out, and I'll see y'all in the next one. But until then, remember, normal's not coming back anymore, but Jesus is coming back. So y'all get ready for it. We'll see y'all.